Hi guys, this is Soumya Vaiche. Today I'm going to explain you about approval process. So approval process is nothing but one of the process automation tool type. So what we are going to do is like there is a procedure in an organization that for some records or some type of records that is for a particular custom object, you need to get an approval from a higher persons. It can be like as an IT field, it can be like for the expense reimbursement. You have to get the approvals from your manager as well as some other PF team approver, right? And in any other organizations also, if the records will be created in the lower level of the users or and a fresher users, freshers, so it has to be overviewed or reviewed by a higher person, which needs an approval from them not to pass it on to further. So that's where the play of approval process comes. If we have some set of records, or it may be a records from a particular object which is more important and it required from a higher manager to approve them. So what are the things you have to concern in this approval process is like first an entry criteria. Okay, first one is the entry criteria, right? First one will be the object you want to choose. Then what is the entry criteria, like what conditions make the record to enter to this approval process. Okay, and the third is an email template. Email template is nothing but the moment you submit a record for an approval, an automatic generated mail has to be sent to an approvers, the persons who are going to approve, right? For them the mail will be sent, so that format we call it as email template. Okay, and then is an approvers who is going to approve these records. Okay, and once the records is submitted, what are the initial submission actions? It has to make the record as locked so no one can edit it. So such initial submission actions can be performed, as well as final approval actions. If you want to update some field when it is approved, you want to email send a notification to some other person when it has been rejected. So such tasks, anyway, the workflow rules task will become coming up, right? Those tasks can be defined under this final approval, final rejection actions also. Okay, those actions you can say schedule based on when they're approved or rejected. And recall actions is nothing but the record is submitted for the approval, but somewhere you want to change something, you recall that record back the moment before it is getting approved. You want to recall that record back to change it, or you want to delete it. It's up to the user. So those actions can be done in the recall actions. Okay, so these are the main things you have to uh, first list on these things to start up with the upload process. Fine, so I'll go with this. Click on setup, type for approval process on quick find. Under workflow and approvals, you'll able to see that approval process. Click on it. So the page is almost filtered by based on the object, the position object or the campaign object. It will list down what are the active and inactive approval process for that particular object. Okay. So what I am going to create uh, approval process is here. Whichever the position been get created by a person, it has to be approved by his manager. Okay, and if something, the position is having a salary of minimum $1,50,000, more than 1,50,000, it has to be approved by CEO. So there's two steps. So every record will get an approval from a manager. If it is having minimum pay more than $1,50,000, then it requires an extra approval from the CEO. Okay, so this is what we are going to create an approval process. And while you're creating, if you click on create new approval process, you will able to see two wizards mean a menu or a process screen which you will be able to create the process. Okay, so I am able to see two. One is with the jumpstart wizard, one is with the standard step wizard. This jumpstart wizard has been in included in the Salesforce from 2015 spring or winter release. Okay, I'll be opening these two wizards in two different tabs, and I'll be comparing what are the things which differs, so that we can able to understand both easily. Um, to be uh, to be on the first point, the jumpstart wizard, where you'll be having a smaller steps or uh, little steps to get done with the approval process, and at the background it will have some default settings given, whereas with a new standard use standard setup wizard, every single setting will be asked by the user. With his confirmation only it will be proceeded. So every minute things you can able to set up, whereas in the jumpstart wizard by default some settings will be provided. On top of it the user can provide few settings, which makes the user to create the approval process very easily. Okay, so this is the jumpstart wizard, and it was having only, it's all in a single page. Okay, whereas if you see with the standard step wizard, it has step 1 to step 6. Okay, so in the first step 1 you'll be defining the process name. I want to have an approval of a position. Okay, and this process name, unique name, and the description is same over here also. Okay, I think description will not play much role, so it's not required. In this one I'll go for the next step. So an entry criteria, I have told what are the criteria it has to meet to enter, right? And as well as over here also entry criteria is present. Similarly with our workflow, wherever you see the criteria, okay, there will be two types of entry criteria can happen. One with the criteria submit. Criteria submit, like if the position open date is not equal to something, or if the position close date is equal to some other date. Okay, with and or not greater than equal to these operators, using this you can able to access with the fields. This is criteria are met, whereas this one it always tells with the uh, evolution of the rule to true or false. If it is true it will run, if it is false it will not run. Okay, it's just the result will come up as true, then it will run, if not it will not run likewise. Whereas here you can able to get the same result as true or false based on the combinations of operators. Like I want to have close position open date not equal to this one, and position close date is equal to this one. So those and operators, based on that result it will work on. Obviously in this one also it will be like true or false. True, run the upper process, if not then don't run it. Okay, so this entry criteria is present in both upload process. Fine, so I'll just set as position open date not equal to null. Okay, from the day it starts opening for employers we'll consider open date. Okay, and the next step we are able to see the automated approver to be determined. Okay, what are the automated approvers we can have? So there is two possibility. One with the manager field. So on the user object, if you see there is a field called manager, which means that user is reporting to that manager person. Okay, so you can able to select the first level of user in that hierarchy, second level, which means his manager, or you want to create some other hierarchical relationship field. So this is like creating another custom user field on user object which mimics the functionality of the standard user field manager. Okay, so if for now I'm be apping a manager. So user object, there is a manager field. That person will be the approver for those position records being created by that user, being owned by that user. Okay, and here do we have that? No, we don't have that settings at all. So what it means, like, one second, sorry. Okay, sorry. So this is setting is not over here, but however at the end you'll be able to find the select approver. So here also same thing comes. You can able to select a standard user field, or you can able to create a hierarchical relationship. You can able to set over in this format also, which is similar to this part. And here comes the user approver field of position over. What it means, like, every position record will have some owner. Okay, so you want to submit this record for owner manager, like the approver. Do you want to have this owner's manager, or you want to have the manager of the user who is going to create the position? Okay, if you want to have the owner's manager, then you have to select it. If you don't want, if you unselect it, it will consider the user who is going to create the position, his manager will be the approver. Okay, so whose manager will consider based on the check and uncheck. So this thing is not present over here, which means by default the position owner manager will be selected as an approver if you select a manager person. Okay, so by default, let me write over here. Okay, if it's not, so default settings for jumpstart wizard is by default position, or whatever we can have, records owner will be the records owner manager will be the approver. If you select that manager on the next automated approver thing, if you select this one, then it will be considered as the position owner's manager will be the approver for it. Okay, so then next is record editability properties. What it means, like, when you submit the record for approval, it will be locked. Okay, it will be locked, no one can access it. But who are going to able to edit that when it is been locked? So you can able to set administrator only. Here administrator means the person who is having modify all or modify all data permission on their profile, then they call me as the administrators, and they can able to edit those locked records or the records who are submitted for the approval. Administrators are the currently assigned approvers, which means the persons who are going to approve also can able to edit the records. So this selection you can able to make in this standard wizard, whereas in the jumpstart wizard by default only the administrators, which means the users who are having modify all or modify all data permission on that particular object will be the administrators, and they can have permissions, or they can able to edit the record when it is submitted for the approval. Okay, then by default it is administration only, so I'll not change anything. On step 4, email template. Email template is where a format of the mail to be sent to the approvers. If you if you not selected anything, by default some Salesforce email template will be done. If you select, if you can able to create an email templates, under here email templates, sorry, you can search over here, you'll be able to get the email templates, okay, and the communication templates. So if you can able to create on your own email templates, your own format, you can able to select that over here. And here also we have a flexibility to select that email template. Next step is the fields that should be shown on the approval page. The moment the record is submitted, the mail is sent to the approver, and when they open, there will be linked to that position record, and what are the fields should be shown on that page layout, right? What are the fields? You can add it over here, whatever the fields you want to require to be shown on that page. And approved history, which means that if the record is being approved before by some other person, after that they have changed something, so those all histories of the approval will be displayed if you check this. Whereas over here by default in the jumpstart wizard, by default the fields are on the approval page layout are the record name or record number, owner of the record, created on when it has been created, that data, and the approval history will be shown by default. That is the default setting, okay. And next we'll go with this security settings. What security settings means, like whether the approvers need to log into Salesforce to approve that record, or they can approve that record by some other means, some other external means, okay. So by default with the jumpstart wizard the settings is not there, which means by default they can only approve by logging into Salesforce, okay, fine. So I'll go with the next step, step 5. Yeah, so who is going to be initial submitter? Who is going to submit the record for an approval? Whether it is a position owner, whether it is a user who is going to create, right? You can able to select on the creator is a record creator, owner who position owner, or you want to submit it by some public groups or with some role and subordinate or some with the users, you can able to select it. But by default in the jumpstart wizard, the persons who are going to submit the record will be the record owners. The records and the owners of the records, they are able to submit the records for the approval, okay. And then page layout settings, do you want to add the submit for approval button and approval history? So every record, position record, you have to see submit for approval button. Once your record is created, then only you can able to click on the submit for approval. That button has to be visible, and with the approval history, like whatever the history is, whether it's approved or rejected with the comments, everything, that is the history of it. So if you want to have it, you have to check, or else you can leave it. By default in the case of jumpstart wizard, it will be checked, it is present and it will be checked. Then submission settings allow submitters to recall the approval request. So you want to um, recall this, once they are submitted with the records, if only the submitters can have an access to recall it or not. So if you not selected this one, only administrators have an access to recall it, not the submitters. By selecting this is a good, because if the position is created by some user and he came to know that position is no longer needed or some other salary has to be changed up, so you can recall it back, okay. Whereas in the jumpstart wizard, by default only administrators can recall the approval request, okay. So only administrators can recall the approval request, fine. So then what else, this ends up with a process we have created, which means an entry criteria and then email template and other settings we have did. Now we have to create the steps in which order it has to follow for activating this approval, like to follow the steps to be followed by the record to get it approved. Okay. I have an existing approval process position. With that, I'll show it up. Okay, so this is an existing approval process. Fine. So like this part we have created. Okay, so next is you have to create the approval steps. So I'm just editing one of the approval steps to explain you. You just have to provide the name, unique name and description, and then in the next step you'll be defining the specific step criteria. So we have defined the entry criteria. So in this I'm not going to select this one. This will again make the entry criteria type. I don't want to have this. I just want to all records to should enter this step first. Okay, and then in the next step I'll be providing who is going to be the approvers for it. You can able to select, make the submitter can choose their approver manually, or you can able to select using a manager field on the user object, or you can have a queue, or you want to have an selected approvers names, then you can use this user queue or related user. Using an add row or remove row, you can able to select multiple users. If you have selected the multiple users, then you have to select this settings, which means you want to have make the record approved if any one of the approvers is approved. That is first thing. Whereas the unanimous means every person has to approve that record to get it approved. If anyone has been rejected it, then it is not at all been approved. That is what, like unanimous or majority voting, similarly like that. And approvers delegate may also approve this request. This setting is not at all there when you create with the jumpstart wizard. By default, with the jumpstart wizard approvals, you'll not able to delegate their work to some other person. Delegate is like when the approver is on leave, if you want to delegate that work to some other person, then you can do it. This setting is not there in jumpstart wizard. So the delegation is not at all possible when you do with the jumpstart wizard. Fine. So then in the next step it's completed. So let's have this one only. Okay, not any others. Fine, save. So we have created, but we have left off with one more action is those positions which are having minimum salary greater than 1,50,000, we need a second approval or double approval from CEO. So that is where the another step is defined. If you want to have a multiple steps of approval thing, make it general thing at the first step, and you dig it up with the further steps with the particular things that you want to have it. Okay. So in this step, it will be showing what is the previous step, just at a brief thing, and then you have to provide name and unique name. Similarly with the step 1 what we have did. Here what is the difference, like in the entry criteria thing, we are slightly changing it. We want to make it that criteria is the position minimum pay is not greater than or equal to 1,50,000. Okay, so that's where we are making over here, and then we are going to go for next, where we'll be selecting who is their approvers. So in every step you can able to change the approvers. It's not that you have to have the same approver for each and every step. In the first case it is a manager approval. In the second case we want to be approved by a CEO person. Cynthia Sebanko is the CEO of this organization So his approval is required for us. And if you have selected this assigns to approver option, then reject a behavior. You want to perform the rejection actions of all persons, or you want to perform the rejection for only person or only the user who has rejected it. So I've selected for all rejection actions I want to perform this, and I have saved this. So in the jumpstart wizard, all final rejection options are being set as by default. Fine. So here the upload process has been created up. Fine. Once it has been completely created, then once the steps has been created up, you have to do what are the initial submission actions, what are the final approval actions, and what are the final rejection actions and recall actions. Okay. So by default it will be there that the moment you submit for the record, submit for approval, the record will be logged. At the approval stages, or in the approval process also, it will be logged. If it is rejected, then it will be unlocked. A recall is again it is unlocked. Okay. Beyond that, you can able to add all workflow actions, that is creating a task, email alert, field update, and outbound message. So for this, there is a field called status. So we have added status has to be set it with open approved. If it is rejected, it has to be closed, not approved, and closed date has to be set it for today. And recall actions, you can able to add whatever. Add existing is similar as of with the workflow. You can able to add the existing workflow actions being created up. You wanted to recreate it. Fine. So this is the thing. I think the entry criteria for this approval is like current user. If the CUS person is only creating the position, then it doesn't require any approval. Those who are other than CEO, whoever is creating, it requires approval from his manager. Fine. You have to activate this. This button will be shown with the activate when the activity is unchecked. And once you activated it, you will not be able to change these actions and everything. If you change also, it will be disturbed with the existing process that is happening. So better you deactivate it, change it, and then you activate it to rerun freshly. Okay. And you can able to see the visualization of this process by clicking on view diagram. It is a picturization of the same upload process what we have created. Okay, so entry criteria is there. Start is when it is started, the record will be logged. It requires the manager approval. If it is approved, go to step 2 criteria, that is in CEO approval. If it is approved, do the final approval thing, and then position is approved. Whereas in the other case, if the manager is not approved, rejected it, final rejection actions, position is rejected. If the CEO approval is not done, which means the step 1 is approved is done, whereas the CEO is not approved. So if it is rejected, then the rejection actions will be performed and the position will be rejected. This is the visualization. Okay. If you any doubts, please comment on my YouTube video. And if any suggestions you want to make me, please provide me. Okay. I'm going to do a second session on this approval process to show after submitting for the approval what are the things will be done. Okay.